You have carried something heavy for a long time. That quiet, persistent ache of feeling weak. That deep sense that some part of you is broken, limited, somehow not enough. Maybe it shows up as the fear that freezes your body just when you need courage most, or the doubt that whispers, late at night, that you will never quite measure up, or the old wound that still bleeds whenever life presses against it in a certain way. You know this feeling intimately. It has lived in your chest, settled in your stomach, hovered at the back of your mind for years. And you have spent so much energy trying to hide it, trying to fix it, or fighting against it with everything you have. But what if that very thing you call weakness is not the enemy at all? What if it is the raw, or waiting patiently to be transformed? This is the radical premise we begin with today. Every weakness you carry is raw material for unbreakable strength. Not something to bury in shame, not something to wage endless war against, but something to convert. Like the ancient alchemists who took ordinary lead, and through fire and patience and secret knowledge, turned it into pure gold. You hold within you both the fire and the skill to transform what feels like heavy lead into radiant gold. Picture the blacksmith at his forge. He does not discard the imperfect metal. He places it carefully into the heart of the fire. He heats it until it glows white hot. He brings it out and hammers it with steady, rhythmic blows. He folds it again and again, layer upon layer. And what finally emerges is stronger, more resilient, more beautiful than anything that ever entered the flames. Your weakness is that metal. The pressure you have felt, the pain you have known, the places where life has broken you open again and again. These are the heat and the hammer. They are not signs that you are ruined. They are the sacred beginning of the alchemy. There was once a young woman who stuttered so severely that speaking in public filled her with absolute terror. Every single word felt like climbing a steep mountain with broken legs. She hid. She avoided every spotlight. She believed her voice was her greatest shame, the proof that she was defective. But one ordinary afternoon, she decided quietly and fiercely to stop running. She stepped willingly into the fire. She practiced speaking slowly, deliberately, using the very breath that used to betray her. She joined small groups where she had no choice but to talk. She failed often. She cried in private. And then, almost without noticing at first, something profound shifted. The same extreme sensitivity that made her stutter became the wellspring of her deepest empathy. The same fear that once silenced her completely became the fuel for a voice that now moves thousands of people to tears and courage. She did not eliminate the stutter. She converted it. Today, she stands on stages, teaching others how to turn their own trembling into power. Her deepest weakness became the very doorway to her greatest strength. That is the alchemy, and that is exactly what this journey is about. Over the next 6 chapters, we will walk this path of transformation together, step by careful step. First, we will learn to see your weakness clearly and without judgment, recognizing it as the precious raw material it truly is. Then we will uncover the hidden power locked inside it, the unique gifts that only struggle and vulnerability can awaken. Next, we will step into the crucible together and begin the actual conversion process, using practical tools of awareness, compassionate reframe, and deliberate daily practice. From there, we will forge the new strength through repeated fire and patient repetition, building habits and an inner identity that no longer cracks under pressure. We will temper that strength until it becomes truly unbreakable, resilient even in the fiercest storms of life. And finally, we will learn to live as the alchemist yourself, someone who no longer fears weakness, because you now know how to turn every new challenge, every fresh wound, into pure gold. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will not simply possess a collection of tools. You will have stepped into a new identity. You will no longer be someone who has weaknesses. You will be someone who systematically, almost magically, turns them into power. That single shift changes everything. It changes how you walk into hard conversations. It changes how you meet failure and rejection. It changes how you see yourself when you look in the mirror at the end of a difficult day. You become living proof that nothing in you is ever wasted. Everything can be refined. Everything can serve. Here is my open-hearted invitation to you. Right now, in this quiet moment as you listen, place your hand gently on your heart if you feel called. Feel the places inside that still feel weak, broken, or limited. Do not push them away this time. Welcome them as the lead that is about to become gold. The alchemy begins the very moment you stop treating your weakness as a problem to solve and start treating it as potential, waiting to be released. Chapter 1: Naming the Shadow. Discovering the true nature of your weaknesses. You have stepped into the forge with me. The fire is warm now. In the introduction, we named the radical truth. Every weakness is raw material for unbreakable strength. But before any conversion can begin, something quieter and more courageous must happen first. You must name the shadow. Most people never convert their weakness into power for one simple, heartbreaking reason. They never truly name it. They dance around it. They dress it up in excuses. They bury it under busyness or achievements. Or they attack it with shame so fierce that the very naming becomes an act of self-violence. And anything attacked with violence cannot be transformed. It only hardens or hides deeper. Naming without shame is the first alchemical act. The ancient masters knew this well. Before lead can become gold, the alchemist must look at the lead clearly, hold it in open hands, and say, "This is what I have." No apology, no judgment, just clear seeing. That clear seeing is the beginning of power. Without it, the forge stays cold. The metal never softens. The gold stays locked inside. There are three most common categories of hidden weakness. Think of them as three kinds of unrefined metal, waiting in the dark of your inner mind. Each one is pure potential once it meets the fire of awareness. The first is emotional weakness. This is the raw or a feeling that floods or freezes you. Perhaps it is the anxiety that rises like thick smoke every time you face uncertainty, or the shame that makes you shrink when someone offers praise, or the anger that flares too hot and leaves you scorched afterward. Emotional weakness often feels like a traitor inside your own chest. It arrives without invitation and seems to take control of the room. I think of a man I once knew. On the outside, he was successful, the one everyone turned to. But inside, a quiet terror of being abandoned lived like a shadow animal. Every time his partner needed space, that animal clawed. He would become clingy, then angry, then ashamed. For years, he called himself too much or broken. He never simply named it. I carry a deep fear of abandonment. But once he named it, The naming alone began to loosen its grip. The animal did not disappear, but it no longer owned the house. The second category is mental or habitual weakness. These are the patterns of thought and behavior that run like old machinery. The procrastination that steals your best hours. The endless loop of self-doubt that questions every decision. The perfectionism that never lets anything be finished. These feel less like feelings and more like iron bars of habit. You know better, yet the bars remain. A woman who dreamed of writing her book sat at her desk for years and never began. Every morning, she told herself she would start when she felt ready. The shadow was not laziness. It was the mental habit of waiting for a perfect moment that never came, rooted in fear of being seen and judged. Once she named it clearly, I have a habitual pattern of postponing anything that risks exposure. The bars began to melt in the heat of awareness. The third category is relational or identity weakness. This is the way you diminish yourself in the presence of others, or the story you carry about who you are allowed to be. It might be people-pleasing so automatic that you lose your own voice, or the belief that you are not the kind of person who succeeds, or not worthy of deep love. These weaknesses hide inside the roles you play and the identity you defend. There was a young teacher who always said yes to every extra duty, every late meeting, every parent request. She was loved for her kindness, but inside, she was exhausted and resentful. Her shadow was the identity of this selfless one, born from childhood when love felt conditional on being useful, naming it without judgment. I carry a relational pattern of erasing myself to stay safe and valued, was the first act of reclaiming her own gold. Now, while you are listening, I want to invite you into a gentle but precise guided reflection. This is not analysis. This is naming. Find a quiet moment if you can. If you are walking or driving, simply let the questions land softly. First, bring to mind the place in your life that currently feels most stuck, most painful, or most limited. What shows up? Is it a feeling that overwhelms you? A habit you cannot break? A way of relating that leaves you empty? Now ask yourself, with kindness, which of the three categories feels most alive right now? Emotional, mental, or habitual? Relational or identity? Or perhaps a blend? Then, go one step further. Can you name one specific form of this weakness without adding, I am bad, or I should be different? For example, I carry a strong tendency to avoid conflict even when my truth needs to be spoken. Or, I have a mental habit of catastrophizing whenever something important is at stake. Or, I often abandon my own needs to keep the peace in relationships. Take a breath. Let one, two, or at most three of these names rise to the surface. Write them down if you can, or simply speak them silently to yourself. Feel how the naming itself creates a little space. The shadow is no longer just a vague dread. It is now a piece of unrefined metal you can hold in your hands. This is crucial. Listen carefully. Your weakness is not your character. It is not the truth of who you are. It is simply unconverted energy, like raw or still mixed with stone and dirt, or metal that has never yet met the forge. The anxiety is energy that has not yet been refined into courage. The procrastination is energy that has not yet been converted into focused creation. The people-pleasing is energy that has not yet become healthy boundaries and authentic connection. Nothing is wrong with the energy itself. It is only waiting for the alchemist, you, to heat it, hammer it, and transform it. When you name the shadow without shame, you stop being its prisoner. You become its steward. You say, I see you. I will not abandon you, and I will not let you run my life untransformed. That stance alone is already strength. Here is the question I leave with you. Let it linger as you move through your day. What becomes possible the moment I stop fighting my shadow and start listening to what it is trying to become? Chapter 2. The Great Reframe. Seeing weakness as untapped power. You have named your shadow. That alone was an act of quiet courage. In Chapter 1, you held the raw or in your hands without flinching. Now, we take the next sacred step. We reframe it. We change the story we tell about what that metal actually is. This is where the true alchemy begins to move from concept into living power. Most people carry an old, heavy story about their weakness. It sounds like this. My weakness means I am broken. It means something fundamental is wrong with me. It means I am less than others, permanently limited, forever catching up. This story is ancient and sticky. It lives in the body as a low hum of shame. It lives in the mind as quiet resignation. And as long as that story remains unchallenged, the forge stays cold. The metal never moves. You stay stuck fighting yourself. Instead of transforming yourself, you spend years trying to hide the lead, rather than learning how to turn it into gold. But there is a new story waiting for you. A truer, far more powerful story. It goes like this. My weakness is the exact place where my greatest strength wants to be born. The crack is not the end of the vessel. It is the opening through which the light enters and the gold begins to form. Your weakness is not a defect in the design. It is the design itself, pointing with precision toward the power you are meant to claim. This reframe is not empty positive thinking. It is pure alchemy. It is the moment the alchemist looks at ordinary lead and sees not failure, but the promise of radiant gold. Consider the highly sensitive person Emily. For years, she believed her sensitivity was a curse. Crowds overwhelmed her nervous system. Criticism cut too deep and stayed too long. The emotions of others flooded her body until she felt she might drown. The old story said, "You are too much. You are weak. Hide yourself." Then one day, she began to reframe. She saw that the same finely tuned nervous system that made her feel everything also allowed her to feel what others could not even name. She turned that raw sensitivity into an empathy superpower. She became the counselor who could sit with someone in their darkest hour and know exactly what was needed. She became the artist who captured the unspoken feelings of a generation. She became the leader who sensed the true temperature of a room and guided it with grace. What once felt like fragile glass became diamond-hard presence. Or take the person ruled by fear. Perhaps you know this one intimately. Fear of failure, fear of speaking up, fear of being truly seen. For a long time, the old story whispered, "Fear means you are a coward. Stay small. Stay safe." Then the reframe arrived like a clear bell. Fear is not the enemy of courage. Fear is the raw fuel of courage. The Stoics knew this deep in their bones. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle is the way. The very thing that stands in your path becomes the path itself. When you stop trying to eliminate fear and instead use its electric energy, something extraordinary happens. The fear becomes the engine. The racing heart becomes fuel for bold action. The trembling hands learn to hold the hammer steady and strike true. Before, paralysis, endless preparation that never becomes motion. After, a life of deliberate, courageous movement that grows stronger with every step into the unknown. And the one who struggles with inconsistency, the person who starts strong and fades, who dreams big, but cannot sustain the fire. The old story calls this laziness or a fatal lack of discipline. The new story sees something far more interesting. Inconsistency is often the sign of a soul that has not yet found its true, burning focus. When that scattered, jumping energy is gathered and converted, it becomes deep, almost supernatural focus. The same fire that once leapt from project to project becomes a laser that cuts cleanly through resistance and distraction. Before, unfinished notebooks, abandoned goals, a quiet self-loathing. After, a mastery that looks effortless to the outside world, but was forged in the patient fire of reclaimed attention and converted will. These transformations are not rare exceptions reserved for special people. They are the natural outcome of the great reframe. When you stop seeing weakness as evidence of brokenness and start seeing it as untapped power, the entire field of possibility opens. Science confirms what the alchemists always knew in their bones. Your brain is not fixed. It is plastic. Neuroplasticity means that every time you stop fighting a weakness and begin to work with it as raw material, the neural pathways literally rewire. The old circuits of shame, avoidance, and self-attack weaken from lack of use. New pathways of curiosity, ownership, skill, and agency grow stronger and thicker with every repetition. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset shows the same living truth. When you believe your abilities and your character can be developed through dedication and intelligent effort, the brain releases different chemicals. Motivation rises. Resilience expands. The very act of reframing, "I am broken because of this," into "this is exactly where my strength is being born," begins to reshape the physical structure of your mind. You are not stuck with the brain you inherited. You are constantly creating the brain you need for the life you are choosing. The Hermetic principle of mentalism whispers the same wisdom from another age. The all is mind. The universe is mental. As within, so without. Change the inner story, and the outer metal begins to transform under your hands. Your thoughts are the fire. Your sustained attention is the hammer. The reframe is the first true strike on the anvil. Now, I want you to experience this reframe in your own body, right now, while you are listening. This is a simple but profound exercise. It takes less than 2 minutes, yet it can shift the entire trajectory of your relationship with your weakness. Bring gently to mind one of the weaknesses you named in Chapter 1. Hold it without judgment. Feel where it lives in your body: the chest, the stomach, the throat, the clenched jaw. Now, speak this new story quietly to yourself, or simply let the words land in the center of your being. This weakness is not proof that I am broken. It is the exact place where my greatest strength wants to be born. The energy trapped here is pure, intelligent potential. I am ready to convert it. Say it again, slower this time. Notice any resistance that rises. Notice any softening, any opening. Let the words move from concept into living truth. Feel the difference in your body between the old story, "I am weak because of this," and the new story, This is the ore from which my power will be forged. That felt shift is the beginning of everything. That is the first real heat entering the metal. This reframe is not the end of the work. It is the opening of the forged door. In the next chapter, we leave the realm of seeing and step fully into the realm of doing. We will pick up the practical tools of conversion. We will learn the precise heat, the exact hammer blows, the daily practices that turn named and reframed weakness into living, unbreakable strength, and you will leave with methods you can use the same day you hear them. Chapter 3: The Inner Forge, Rewiring Beliefs and Neuroplasticity for Strength. You have named the shadow. You have reframed the ore. Now, we step fully into the heat. This is the chapter of the inner forge. This is where the metal begins to soften under your own hands. This is where transformation becomes tangible. Every weakness you carry is held in place by something quiet and powerful. An old belief, a well-worn neural pathway, like a piece of metal that has been hammered into the same shape for years. Your mind has practiced the same story until it feels like solid, unchangeable truth. I am not good enough. I always freeze when it matters. I cannot sustain anything important. I am too sensitive for this world. These are not facts about your essence. They are grooves carved by repetition. And grooves can be melted. Grooves can be reshaped. Your brain is not a stone. It is living metal, always ready for the fire. Neuroplasticity means the brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Every time you think the old story, you deepen the old groove and make the metal harder in that shape. But every time you interrupt it and choose a new path, the metal softens under the heat of attention. New pathways form. Old ones begin to fade from lack of use. The brain is always melting and remolding. It is never finished. That is the scientific alchemy written into your very cells. That is the hope that never expires. The ancient blacksmiths knew something the modern world is only now rediscovering with instruments and scanners. Heat softens. Attention is heat. Deliberate practice is the hammer. Belief is the final shape the metal takes. You are both the blacksmith and the metal. You hold the power to melt what no longer serves and forge what will serve your becoming. There are 3 inner tools of the forge. They are simple. They are powerful. They are available to you in every single moment of your life. The first tool is awareness. You cannot melt what you cannot see. Awareness is the gentle, steady light you shine on the old pathway the moment it rises. You notice the familiar thought arriving. You feel the familiar contraction in the body. You catch the exact second the old story begins to speak its well-rehearsed lines. No judgment, no war, just clear, compassionate seeing. There it is again, the old groove lighting up. Awareness alone already begins to loosen the metal. What is seen can no longer hide in the dark and control you. The second tool is interruption. Once you see the old pathway lighting up, you gently step between the spark and the automatic fire. You do not fight the thought with more force. You simply refuse to feed it. You create a small sacred pause. In that pause, the old metal cools just enough for you to choose differently. Interruption is the moment you take the glowing piece out of the automatic furnace and place it under your conscious care. That pause is pure power. The third tool is the deliberate new story. This is the true hammering. Once the old pathway is interrupted, you deliberately choose the new shape. You speak a different sentence with intention. You feel a different possibility in your body. You act, even in the tiniest way, as the person who is already converting this weakness into power. Repetition of the new story is what forges the new neural pathway. The brain listens carefully. The brain obeys the direction of your sustained attention. The metal takes the new form. Now, I want to walk you through a step-by-step belief melting process you can follow in real time, right now, while you listen. Choose one specific weakness you named in Chapter 1. Hold it lightly in your awareness. Step 1. Name the old belief clearly and kindly. For example, I am someone who always collapses under pressure. Or, I am not capable of staying consistent with what matters. Speak it once. Feel its familiar weight. Then thank it for how it once tried to protect you. That quiet gratitude softens the metal more than any force ever could. Step 2. Feel where this belief lives in your body right now. Is it a tightness in the chest? A heaviness in the stomach? A clenching in the jaw or throat? Place your warm attention there. Breathe into that place as if you are gently heating the metal with your own breath. Stay for 3 slow, full breaths. Let the heat of pure awareness begin the melting process. Feel the edges of the old shape start to blur. Step 3. Interrupt with a clear, calm decision. Silently say, I am no longer feeding this old groove. I am choosing a new path. Feel the pause open. Feel the space that appears when you stop automatically believing the old story. That space is the crucible. Step 4. Install the new deliberate story. Speak this identity-level reframe with as much quiet power as you can feel. I am becoming the kind of person who turns this exact weakness into unbreakable strength. Say it again, slower. Feel the words as a new shape forming in the soft metal of your mind. I am becoming the kind of person who turns this into power. This is no longer, I am weak in this area. This is, I am the alchemist of this area. That single shift from fixed identity to becoming identity is the master key of the entire forge. Step 5. Seal it with one tiny action of proof. Right now, decide one small thing you will do today that proves the new story is already true. It can be as simple as speaking one honest sentence you would normally avoid, or sitting down for 5 focused minutes on something that matters, or placing a hand on your heart when the old fear rises and whispering the new reframe. Action is the final hammer blow that sets the new shape into the cooling metal. Every time the old pathway tries to reassert itself, and it will, you simply return to the 3 tools. You notice. You interrupt. You choose the becoming story again. Each return is another deliberate strike of the hammer. Each return deepens the new groove and weakens the old one. This is how neuroplasticity becomes lived, felt power. This is how beliefs melt and reform under the heat of conscious, loving attention. In the next chapter, we move from this inner work of rewiring into the daily practice of hammering. We will build the actual habits, the consistent strikes, the living routines that take the softened metal and turn it into unbreakable strength you can feel in your bones and show in your daily life. You are no longer the prisoner of the old groove. You are the blacksmith of your own becoming. The forge is yours. Chapter 4. Daily Conversion Rituals. Practical Alchemy in Action. You have melted the old beliefs. You have felt the metal soften in the inner forge. Now, we come to the most important truth of the entire journey. Knowledge alone never converts weakness. Understanding alone never turns lead into gold. Only daily practice does. Only the repeated, loving strike of the hammer transforms the soft metal into something unbreakable. You can listen to every insight. You can feel deeply moved in the moment. You can even have beautiful breakthroughs in conversation or journaling. But if the insights remain only in the mind, the metal cools back into its old shape overnight. The real alchemy happens in the ordinary hours of your ordinary days. It happens when no one is watching. It happens when you choose, again and again, to turn the moment of weakness into the moment of power. So today, we step fully into practical alchemy. I am going to give you 4 simple daily conversion rituals. They are short. They are powerful. They feel sacred rather than like chores. And when practiced, they work. The first is the morning forging ritual. Every morning, before the world rushes in, take 3 quiet minutes. Place one hand on your heart. Bring to mind the specific weakness you are converting. Speak your becoming identity out loud or silently. Today I am the kind of person who turns this into strength. Then choose one tiny act of conversion you will practice before noon. It might be one honest conversation, 5 minutes of focused work on the hard thing, or one moment of staying with discomfort instead of escaping. Seal the ritual with a single deep breath that feels like fire entering the metal. This morning ritual sets the heat and the intention for the entire day. The second is the midday recalibration. Somewhere in the middle of the day, when energy often dips and old patterns try to return unnoticed, pause for 90 seconds. Close your eyes if you can. Feel your feet firmly on the ground. Ask yourself one clear, kind question. Where is the weakness trying to run the show right now? Notice without judgment. Then deliberately choose one small corrective action. If you have been avoiding a task, take the first 30-second step. If you have been people-pleasing, speak one true sentence. If self-doubt has been whispering, stand a little taller and reclaim the next action. This midday ritual is like reheating the metal, so it does not harden into the old form while you are busy living. The third is the evening tempering ritual. At the end of the day, before sleep claims you, take 4 quiet minutes. Review the day with genuine kindness. Where did you convert a moment of weakness into power, even slightly? Celebrate it fully, no matter how small. Where did the old pattern win for a while? Simply note it without shame and extract one gentle lesson. Then, speak this closing reframe as a blessing over yourself. I am forging myself daily. Tomorrow, I continue with love. This evening practice cools the metal carefully in the new shape and prepares the mind for deeper rewiring during sleep. The fourth and often most powerful is the trigger ritual. This is the one you use the exact moment the weakness actually appears in real time. Work stress rising, relationship tension flaring, the seductive pull of procrastination, the sudden wave of self-doubt. This is where the purest alchemy happens. Let's call it the 90-second alchemy window. Here's how it works. The moment you feel the familiar contraction, the old story rising, the urge to collapse or lash out, or freeze or disappear, you have roughly 90 seconds of pure, available choice. In those 90 seconds, the metal is still soft and workable. After that, the old pathway tends to harden again. So, the moment the trigger hits, do this simple 4-step sequence. First, Name it out loud or in a clear whisper. This is the old metal. I see you. Second, place a hand on your body where you feel it strongest and take one slow, deliberate breath, as if you are heating that exact place with clean fire. Third, speak your becoming identity with quiet authority. I am turning this into power right now. Fourth, take one tiny physical action that proves the new story is already true. Stand up straighter. Send the difficult message. Sit down and begin the avoided task for 60 seconds. Speak the needed truth kindly. That 4-step sequence turns the exact moment of weakness into the exact moment of power. 90 seconds. That is all. But those 90 seconds, repeated over days and weeks, change everything. Imagine you are at work and the deadline pressure rises like heat. Your old pattern is to freeze or overwork and panic. The trigger hits. You feel the tightness in your chest and the racing thoughts. You catch the 90-second window. You name it. This is my old fear of not being enough. You breathe into the chest. You whisper, I am becoming the person who stays calm and clear under pressure. Then you take one deliberate action. You write the next single sentence of the report, imperfect and real. The metal has been struck. Strength grows in that moment. Or you are in a conversation with someone you love, and the old relational wound flares without warning. The urge to shut down or people please rises fast. You feel it. You use the trigger ritual. You name the shadow. You breathe into the body. You claim, I am turning this into honest connection. Then you speak one true, kind sentence instead of disappearing. That single conversion rewires both of you and softens the old metal. Perhaps procrastination appears as you sit down to create something that matters. The mind wants to scroll, clean, snack, or delay. You catch the window. This is the old avoidance pattern. One breath of heat. I'm the kind of person who begins. Then you open the document and type one imperfect sentence. The forge has done its quiet work. Or self-doubt whispers late at night that you will never really change, that this is all just temporary inspiration. You feel the familiar heaviness. You run the evening tempering ritual. You note the thought without fighting it. You celebrate any small conversion from the day, even the tiny ones. You close with, I am forging myself daily. Sleep itself becomes part of the alchemy. These are not big dramatic acts. They are small, repeated, loving strikes of the hammer. And here is the secret the master blacksmiths always knew. Consistency in small conversions compounds into unbreakable strength. One 90-second conversion does little by itself. 7 of them in a week begin to change the shape of the metal. 30 of them begin to change the identity. 100 of them create a new nervous system, a new default response, a new way of walking through the world. The metal does not become strong through one heroic blow. It becomes strong through the patient, daily rhythm of the hammer applied with care. You do not need to practice all 4 rituals perfectly from the start. Start with one. Choose the one that calls to you most strongly right now. Perhaps the morning forging that sets the day, or the trigger ritual that meets the weakness exactly when it appears in real life. Commit to it for the next 7 days. Do it even when it feels mechanical or slightly awkward at first. The feeling of sacredness and power grows with practice. The metal remembers every strike. This is how ordinary days become the living forge. This is how your life itself becomes the alchemical laboratory where weakness is steadily converted into power. In the next chapter, we will take these rituals and build them into lasting systems, so the conversion becomes automatic, effortless, and permanent. But first, begin. One ritual. Today, the metal is waiting for your next deliberate strike. Chapter 5. Forging Unbreakable Habits. Building Resilience that Endures. You have lit the daily forge. You have begun the conversion rituals. Now, we take the next decisive step. We turn those deliberate strikes into unbreakable habits. We build resilience that does not merely survive pressure, but grows stronger because of it. This is the chapter where temporary practice becomes permanent identity. Temporary motivation always fails. You have felt this many times. The surge of inspiration after a powerful conversation, a moving book, or even the earlier chapters of this audiobook feels electric for a few days. Then life presses in with its noise and demands. The old grooves reassert themselves. Motivation is weather. It changes with the hour. Identity is climate. It endures through seasons. The blacksmith does not rely on feeling inspired every morning to return to the anvil. He returns because he is a blacksmith. That is simply who he has become. The same is true for you. When conversion becomes identity, the habits stop requiring constant willpower. They become the natural, almost effortless expression of who you now are. Here is how we turn the conversion rituals you learned into automatic, unbreakable habits. First, attach the new practice to an existing strong habit. This is called habit stacking, and it is one of the most reliable tools of the forge. For example, after I pour my morning tea, I place my hand on my heart and speak my becoming identity. After I close my laptop at the end of the workday, I run the evening tempering ritual. After I feel the first rise of tension in a difficult conversation, I run the 90-second alchemy window. The old habit becomes the reliable cue. The new conversion becomes the automatic next step. Over weeks, the link grows so strong that performing the old action without the new one feels incomplete, like leaving the forge without extinguishing the fire. Second, make the habit so small at the beginning that failure becomes almost impossible. 2 minutes of the morning forging. One full 90-second trigger ritual when the weakness appears. The master blacksmith does not try to forge an entire sword in one heroic session. He makes one clean, deliberate strike, then another, then another. Smallness removes resistance. Consistency builds the neural muscle. Once the small habit is solid and automatic, it naturally expands under its own power. What began as 2 minutes becomes 5. What began as a reluctant ritual becomes a cherished return to the forge. Third, track the identity, not just the behavior. Instead of asking only, "Did I do the ritual today?" ask the deeper question, "Did I act like the person who converts weakness into power today?" A simple yes or no at the end of the day, written or spoken, keeps the focus on becoming rather than merely performing. Identity is the true forge. Behavior is only the hammer that serves it. When you track identity, every small success reinforces the new self. Every return after a miss still counts as progress because the blacksmith is still showing up. Now, we design the environment so that strength becomes the path of least resistance. Willpower is a limited and easily depleted resource. Environment is a permanent, silent force that either supports or sabotages you every hour. The master blacksmith arranges the forge carefully, so the hammer is always within reach, the fire is already lit, the tongs are ready, and the distractions are removed from the workspace. You can and must do the same. Look honestly at the places where your old weakness thrives. If procrastination loves the open door of your phone, put the phone in another room during deep work hours. If people-pleasing thrives in certain conversations or online spaces, prepare one clear, kind boundary sentence and keep it written where you can see it before those interactions. If self-doubt rises most strongly in the evening, create a physical space that signals strength. A particular chair by a window, a notebook that holds only becoming stories and small victories, a single candle or lamp you light only as you begin the tempering ritual. Make the strong choice the easy, obvious choice. Make the old weak choice require extra physical or mental effort. Over weeks and months, the environment itself begins to forge you. You walk into a room, and strength is already waiting. Here is a deeper truth that changes everything about how you meet difficulty. Real strength is not the absence of setbacks. Real strength is anti-fragile. It grows stronger because of setbacks. When you miss a day of practice, when the old pattern wins around, when life knocks you down hard, the metal does not crack if you return. It is tempered. The blacksmith knows that metal heated and hammered, and then cooled under controlled stress, becomes tougher, denser, and more resilient than metal that never faced the fire at all. Your failures are not evidence that the process is not working. They are the very pressure that makes the new strength denser and more enduring. Each time you return after a fall, you are not starting over. You are folding the metal again, creating new layers of strength that cannot be achieved any other way. The mountain is not climbed by never slipping. It is climbed by rising every time you slip and finding the next solid foothold. This leads us to the beautiful and practical principle of strength stacking. When you fully convert one core weakness, the power multiplies across every area of your life. Convert the fear of speaking your truth, and suddenly your relationships deepen, your work improves, your creative voice appears, and your self-respect rises. Convert the habit of inconsistency, and suddenly health, craft, finances, and spiritual practice all rise together, as if lifted by the same hand. Convert the relational pattern of self-erasure, and every boundary, every decision, every long-held dream becomes clearer and more possible. One converted weakness becomes a master key that unlocks many doors. The strength stacks. The entire mountain of your life rises higher because one critical ridge was forged into solid, reliable rock. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You wake up, and the morning forging feels as natural as breathing. When pressure appears at work, or in love, or in the quiet of your own mind, the 90-second alchemy window opens almost automatically. You no longer panic or collapse at the sight of your old weakness. You feel a quiet recognition and a small smile, because you know exactly what to do with it. You have missed days and returned without self-attack. You have failed publicly and used the failure as useful heat. Your environment supports the new identity without constant effort. Friends and colleagues notice a quiet solidity in you that was not there before. You no longer describe yourself as someone who has this particular struggle. You describe yourself as someone who turns struggle into power. That is the vision. That is the mountain you are already climbing with every small strike of the hammer. Chapter 6: The Strengthened Self, Integrating Power into Every Aspect of Life. You have named the shadow. You have reframed the ore. You have melted the old beliefs. You have practiced the daily rituals. You have forged unbreakable habits. Now, we arrive at the crowning of the work. This is the chapter of integration. This is where the converted strength moves from the forge into every living room, every conversation, every quiet moment of your life. This is where you become the strengthened self. What does life look and feel like when weakness has been systematically converted into power? It feels quieter inside. The old background noise of shame and self-doubt softens into a steady hum of capability. You wake, and the day no longer feels like a test you might fail. It feels like a field you know how to walk with dignity. Pressure still comes. Triggers still appear. Old metal still shows up from time to time, but they no longer own the house. You meet them as familiar material that you already know how to heat and reshape. There is a new dignity in your posture. There is a new patience in your eyes. There is a new willingness to stay present when things get hard. You are no longer waiting to become strong someday. You are living, right now, as someone who has already begun and continues. Watch how this new strength shows up across the full landscape of your life. In relationships, it appears as honest warmth. You no longer disappear to keep the peace or explode to protect a fragile self. You can stay open and clear at the same time. You can say the needed truth without abandoning love. You can receive feedback without collapsing and offer feedback without cruelty. People feel safer around you because you are no longer secretly at war with yourself. Your presence becomes a quiet invitation for others to drop their own armor and meet you in genuine connection. In work, it appears as steady focus and clean courage. Deadlines no longer send you into frantic overdrive or frozen avoidance. You know how to use the 90-second alchemy window in the middle of a stressful meeting or a high-stakes project. You begin imperfectly. You continue consistently. You finish with integrity. Opportunities that once terrified you now feel like interesting metal waiting for your skilled hands. You stop waiting for confidence to arrive and start generating it through deliberate action. Your reputation quietly shifts from talented but inconsistent or capable but anxious into someone who can be trusted with weight. In creativity, the new strength shows up as freedom and flow. The voice that once whispered, "Who are you to make this?" or "This will never be good enough," has been converted into fuel. You create because the act itself forges you further. The work becomes less about proving worth and more about expressing the gold you have already refined inside. Ideas flow more easily because you no longer choke them with perfectionism or abandon them with inconsistency. The creative channel stays open because the alchemist is no longer afraid of the fire. In health and body, it appears as kind, sustainable discipline. You move, rest, nourish, and recover yourself, not from self-attack or vanity, but from self-respect. The same identity that converts emotional and mental weakness now converts the small daily choices that shape your physical vitality. You treat the body as the living forge it has always been. Strength becomes embodied, rather than merely conceptual. And in the private theater of self-talk, the change is perhaps most profound. The inner voice softens and strengthens at once. The old harsh critic has been retired with gratitude for how it once tried to protect you. In its place speaks a wise, steady companion who says when difficulty arises, more metal, let's begin. That single shift in the inner dialogue changes the weather of your entire inner world. You become a safe place for yourself. Yet, even the strongest forge needs protection. Old weaknesses are clever and patient. They wait for fatigue, for grief, for sudden success, for the subtle moments when you feel you have arrived and can fully relax your vigilance. So, protect the forge without becoming rigid or anxious. Stay vigilant, yet relaxed. Once a week, ask yourself a simple, honest question. Where is the old metal trying to reclaim a little ground? Notice early. Return quickly and kindly. Keep one or two of the daily rituals alive, even after they feel completely automatic. Light the morning forge. Use the trigger ritual when life heats up unexpectedly. The master blacksmith never fully extinguishes the fire. He keeps a small coal bed ready, so the full blaze can be restored in moments if needed. Do the same with your practices. Vigilance without anxiety. Consistency without harshness. That is how the strength remains living and available. As you live this way over months and years, something beautiful and quiet begins to happen around you. You become a living example. You do not need to preach. You do not need to announce your transformation or turn it into content. Your presence itself gives others permission. When they watch you meet pressure without collapsing, when they hear you speak of difficulty without shame or drama, when they feel the quiet solidity in you, something in them softens and opens. They think, often without words. If she can turn that into power, perhaps I can too. Your conversion becomes contagious in the best and most generous way. You become a quiet furnace that warms everyone who stands near it. This is one of the deepest joys and responsibilities of the work. Your strength multiplies far beyond your own life. True strength is not the absence of weakness. True strength is the mastery of conversion itself. The strongest people you will ever meet are not those who never feel fear, never doubt, never fall, never feel the old metal rise again. They are those who have made friends with the lifelong process of turning lead into gold. They expect the metal to appear. They know the fire. They trust the hammer of their own attention and care. They live as alchemists, rather than as people who have somehow finished the work and become perfect. This is the final freedom. You no longer need a life free of weakness in order to feel whole. You only need a life in which every weakness is welcomed as raw material for greater power and deeper character. That orientation is unbreakable. See yourself now as an unbreakable being. Not rigid, not invulnerable, not free of all struggle. Unbreakable in the way a well-forged blade is unbreakable, flexible under pressure, sharp when needed, resilient after impact, capable of meeting whatever comes, and remaining essentially whole. Your past weaknesses have become part of your beauty and your wisdom. The cracks that once shamed you now hold the visible gold. You walk through the world as someone who has done the inner work and continues to do it with grace and humility. You are the strengthened self. You are the living proof that nothing in a human life is wasted. Everything can be refined. Everything can serve. Everything can become power. The forge has completed its great and patient work. The metal has been named, heated, hammered, tempered, and fully integrated into the whole of who you are. What remains is simply to live as the one who has been forged, to walk, speak, create, love, and lead as the alchemist you have become.